I have made innumerable poor choices in my lifetime. Yes, it is true that most people can echo these words, though very few end up spending over 2 decades behind bars as a consequence. I'd like to tell you I was not one of those, but I can't. My poor choices led to lengthy prison sentences and caused immeasurable harm to a great many people. Let there be no doubt, prison is precisely where I deserve to be. While incarcerated, I heard of a community-based organization named M2W2, made up of men and women who, once a month, volunteer in the prison and spend a few hours with people there. Knowing I could benefit from contact with society, or the outs as we called it, I signed up and began to attend. Within a few meetings, I was matched with a gentleman. I never imagined this gentleman would eventually become a beacon of strength and hope, my mentor, my friend, my brother. This is exactly what has happened. The process was quite gradual in the initial year or so, but as time passed, we have both grown in many ways, never more so than I in my faith in my fellow man, my faith in myself, and most importantly, from where I sit now, my faith in God Almighty. Now in the community, I am able to visit with him regularly. We go on short drives here in the Fraser Valley and enjoy regular phone conversations. Subsequent to my release to a halfway house, I had occasion to visit M2W2's Hidden Treasures thrift store. It was my intention to introduce myself to the manager and volunteer my services. The welcome I received was far more than I could have anticipated. Due to COVID-19, the store was in need of additional assistance, so I offered to help. My days at Hidden Treasures are an absolute joy. I'm part of a team. I work, I joke around, I serve the public. I find all of this so meaningful, so beneficial, and so very necessary to have this opportunity to give back. The extended family I have come to know has helped me feel as though I belong. I cannot express just how crucial that sense of belonging is. I, for one, believe belonging is extremely vital in determining the success or failure of someone recently released from prison. Should we not find purpose, it is usually only a matter of time before we are jailed once again, viewing the outs on a television screen. My testimony is simple. Without the support of others, I would struggle through an existence in a society prone to quick judgment. The saying, "It takes a village," is never more apt than when referring to my success to date. Recently, I have taken the opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to each and every one of these incredible individuals. Most shy away from accepting any credit. To anyone currently on or aspiring to be on a conditional release, my message is straightforward. If I can accomplish this, you can as well. However, you shall most assuredly get out of it only what you are prepared to put in. Start by being honest with yourself, for it makes honesty with others far easier to achieve.
Hey, welcome to the M2W2 annual fundraiser. Thank you for being here. My name is Cliff. I'm your host. I'm an actor. I'm a comedian, and I'm an outsider to M2W2. In fact, it's been a huge pleasure to get to know this organization over this process. M2W2 being men walking beside men through the period of incarceration. That's a difficult word to say it and also to live it out. W2 women walking with women through that same period, that same difficult situation. Supportive, encouraging, accountability. It's a beautiful thing. And the NOLA program as well. No one leaves alone, walking with individuals as they move from being on the inside to the outside. And then, of course, Hidden Treasures, the thrift stores, which not only fund the aforementioned programs, but also provide work and volunteer opportunities for folks coming out of the prison system, which is absolutely amazing. And the hope, of course, of all these programs, all these opportunities is restored relationship and strengthened community. And the means by which they get to that point is also through relationship and through community, which is why it's so important and so awesome that you are all with us here today. So thank you so much. The theme for tonight is the way back up. And it is inspired through Brene Brown's quote. And this is what it is right here. It's the truth is that falling hurts, but the dare is to keep being brave and feel your way back up, which is very inspiring. One of my favorite Bible verses, because I'm super spiritual, is Ecclesiastes 4, verses 9 to 10, and it says this: 2 are better than 1, because they have a good return for their labor. And then if one of them falls down, the other one can help them back up. Pity anyone who has no one to help them up. Compassion and empathy and love and spiritual support. These are all qualities that M2W2 are built on. And these are all qualities that I've learned through parenting as well. I know you can see that I'm a dad. I've got a dad bod. I drive a minivan. My soul is dead, so all the dad things. I have 3 children. I've got Josiah, who's now 15. I have Allie, she's 13. I have Simon, who's psycho. Now, I'm a savvy dad. I had tricks to help them get in their PJs when they were little. You know, you invert the shirt, you put your face through the hole. I called Josiah over, come here, Joe, come here, buddy. And we do a little forehead bump, we grunt, and then I go, boop, done. I go, come here, Allie, come here, babe. We do a little butterfly kiss, and we go, boop, done. I'm like, come here, Simon, come here, buddy. He'd stick his fingers in my eyes. Special. We gave them biblical names because we thought that would help. Josiah means God heals, and we believe that. The bleeding in my eyes, he stopped. Allie is short for aletheia, which is the Greek word for truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. The truth is, she's got me wrapped around her finger. Once she gets a hold of my credit card, nothing in my life is going to be free. And Simon, whose favorite words are run away. You know, it's time for school, Simon, run away. Right? Eat your vegetables, Simon, run away. It's bath time, run, bedtime, away. His name means to listen and obey. So very special. We take spiritual discipline very seriously. We do devotionals together. You know, do a little devotional. John chapter 5, we're reading that together, where Jesus heals the lame man. All of a sudden, my son starts spontaneously praying. Starts praying. He's like, dear God, please heal my father. He is so lame. Yeah, that was a Bible joke. It's very good. I learned all of these very important things. Simon's psychosis, though, extended not only into his violence towards me, but also into his deep care and compassion and concern for others. We were doing a little ant hunt. We had carpenter ants around our house, and I was setting traps. And we found their trail, we found where they're going, and they're entering our house through cedar siding. And so I imagine they were just eating the cedar siding, but he was concerned that they were going into our house. So he's like, Dad, we should check the attic to see if the ants are in the attic. I don't want to go into the attic because it is scary in there. We never go in there. So anyway, I'm like, yes, son, I support that decision. We go, we pull it down. Built in the 1960s by my father-in-law's father. It's all spring-loaded. We pull it down, unfold the ladder. I flick on the light. I crawl it up. I clear all the cobwebs. And as I'm on the ladder, clearing the cobwebs and vacuuming them up with our handheld Dyson, I hear the spring stretch. It goes, and it snaps back, and it hits me right here, right beside my temple. And I stumble off the stairs, off the ladder, and I grab my head immediately, and I feel it burning. And I'm like, I'm bleeding. I'm pretty sure I'm bleeding. I look down at my hand, and there is blood pouring all over my hand and onto the floor. I go into the bathroom. I get down on my knees, lean over the sink, because I don't want to pass out. I say to Simon, please get me a towel. He's shaking. He runs to the kitchen and gets a white tea towel. Bleeding into the sink. I'm like, I'm sorry to be picky, but could you go to the closet and get one of our burgundy towels? Because I'm bleeding. So I got that. I'm like, could you please get the phone? I'm going to need to call Grandpa. There's 5 doors down. He's shaking with my phone. Dad, I can't open it. And so eventually I realized he can't help me. He's too stressed out. So I mop up my head. I stand up. I realize it's just a very small hole, but it's a bleeder. And then I go to him, hey, buddy, you're okay. You're fine. And he just starts bawling immediately. He's like, I don't know why I'm crying. You're the one bleeding. He had taken the pressure all on himself, and he was the one that was going to have to help me, and he was the one that was going to have to save me. And that's something that we all do. That's one extreme. On the other hand, my daughter, whose room is right beside the bathroom, and at the base, we live in a small house, at the base of these stairs, came out, saw the blood dripping on the floor, saw Simon crying, and just went back into her room. When I asked her about it later, I'm like, hey, why didn't you help? She's like, nah, that's too much. That was too much. So those are the 2 extremes. You either see the situation and the needs and the problems, and you're like, that's too much, and you go back in your room, or you take it all upon yourself, and you stress out, and you become overwhelmed, and you become paralyzed, not being able to help anyone. So what we need you to do tonight, everybody, we thank you for being here. We need you to engage. You engage by showing up, and you have shown up. You're here. You waited for us. We're here. Maybe you're watching it later, but you're here. Thank you for being here. You engage by listening. You're going to hear stories tonight. You're going to hear stories from the inside, from a prison warden's perspective. You're going to hear from folks who have lived inside as incarcerated individuals. You're going to hear from volunteers. What we ask you to do is please remove distractions and focus on what you're hearing. And then also, we're going to ask you to give. And there's a bunch of different ways you can give. You can give through e-transfer, through give at m2w2.com. You can give online, m2w2.com. You can give via phone. You can call it in. Or you can also do it by snail mail. Or the other option is you just give the cash to me. I'll get on my BMX bike, and I will drive it right to their office, minus 25%. So that's a very safe option. I'm very reliable. I'm pretty quick on the bike. So thank you very much. So we're going to jump into the program. I think we're ready to do that. I think we are. I'm going to scroll up on my handy-dandy thing. And yeah, that's where we are. No, what I want to do is I want to say thank you to all the people who have given already. There's folks that have been engaged all week already in the online auction. People who donated items, thank you to all of you who have donated. And thanks to all of you who bought items in that auction. We raised, I'm going to clarify the number here, I believe $6,552.52. $6,552.52. You did that, so give yourselves a round of applause. Woo! And there's people in the room, but not many in their distance, and they're wearing masks. We're safe. Okay, good. I'm glad. And then also we want to say thank you to our sponsors that are here now. They're not here, but they donated to make this event possible. We have Sloan Media. Chris Sloan is here filming, so good job to Chris. Thank you for being here. Denbo, thank you so much. Denbo sells dirt, if you didn't know this. They got sand, they got soil, they got like gravel and stuff, and I actually ordered a big dump truck full of sand, and there was more than I needed, and that's my father-in-law's fault, but it was okay. We really needed some of the sand, but they'll do that. The dump truck comes right to your house and it dumps. It's really cool to watch. So Denbo does that, and I got to stop flipping that over because then it's hard to read. Kinfolk Realty, they're kind folks. I don't know if that's how they came up with their name, but they'll sell your house. They'll buy they won't buy your house, but they'll help you buy a house. That's them. They're really nice. Every year they have a big pig roast in their backyard. So that's kind of cool too. I hope they still do that because I just set a high expectation for everyone to eat pig. And, I actually chipped my tooth one year eating the ear. And I'm not going to come after them. I thought about suing them. I'm not going to. But Kinfolk Realty, they're wonderful people. Fraser Valley RV, in case you don't have a house in the ground and you want to still have a house for a little less money, it has wheels, and then you can live wherever you want. So that's Fraser Valley RV. They're good. If you're not sure how much money you have, Mead & Co., they're chartered accountants. They're really good. They'll help you figure out how much money you need to buy a mobile house or one that has earth around it. And then Hub Motor Service, in case your mobile home breaks down, they can fix it. And they can fix other things like trucks, small cars, motorcycles. They might be able to fix your life. If you have advice you need, I think there's probably people qualified to do that in their garages as well. And lastly, Lady V Nails. Lady V Nails. They nails. So if you're someone that has nails and you want them to look like super pretty or wild or exciting, they're the ones to do that. They have a YouTube channel. I was watching it for probably longer than I should have, but I learned a lot about what I could do with my nails, so I highly recommend if you have time and curiosity, which I did and still do, they're the people. So thank you so much to all of our donors or sponsors. Thank you so much to you for being here. On with the program.
Hey, good to be here today. I'm Steve Welcome. I'm a NOLA case manager with the M2W2 Association, and I am here with a NOLA graduate. And it's my pleasure just to be meeting with you and just to hearing from your story, but allowing others to hear from your story as well. Why did you sign up for NOLA? Like, what was the need at the time when you signed up for NOLA support?
Your acronym for NOLA, no one leaves alone. I fit that parameter 100%. I was inside for a few years since 2014, and no one visited, no one came and had no outside contact, so it was a logical step for me.
So how did NOLA help you? help you through, if you think about things that happened in your past, even before you were in prison, things that you had challenges with maybe in prison and then kind of transition into the community. How did the NOLA support help you?
Well, it was supportive for one particular reason, was that it brought people into my life to be able to transition forward. And it started with M2W2 being connected with a mentor, and when progressed from there to NOLA, which helped me come back to society, have some support network of some sort, build some, introduced to new, well, actually strangers, but new people to help support me in anything I needed in my progression of going forward, of being, integrating back into society the way I should and everything, and knowing that without the judgment and being fully supported, with no criticism of any sort. So.
Yeah, because so what was it, just like going out for a cup of coffee with some guys and just kind of chatting about the weather, or did it get personal with them at all, or how did that look like for you? You don't need to share like personal details, but just to kind of give us an idea.
Yes. For me, it's been a full circle thing, because at first it was getting to know each other, just to understand, and earning each other's trust and being, safe, feeling safe to do so. So as that time grew, that grew as well, but their actions, being there and making the commitment of being there for me at least once a week, or even during the week by calling and stuff like that, and just checking up on me, just on the fact of how am I doing, right? Not what are you doing, what are you doing, right or wrong. They just wanted to know, was there anything I needed, anything I could have help with, and they were supportive in helping me in what I needed for myself at that time, or at any moment through the transition of, employment, just even the basic needs, food, stuff like that, helping me find my footing back into society, realizing what's good and what's not, and helping me out in those ways. Also, sitting down and actually caring with real world, being genuine. Yeah. So which was awesome.
Yeah. So. And even though you've graduated from NOLA, you finished the NOLA support. Mm-hmm. I understand you're still in a relationship with these guys too.
Yes.
They're calling you every once in a while still.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've become friends, which has been awesome. That did not happen for everyone, but it did for me, and I'm grateful. They're two great gentlemen, and I'm thankful to God and Creator for those two people in my life, because they're been genuine. Yeah.
So since transitioning out of prison, going through the NOLA support, what has changed in your life?
I've with the help of these people, as well as NOLA staff and all the people in W2, hidden treasures, all in your organization. The biggest thing for me is they've restored my faith in humanity. My experience is different from anyone else's, but everyone has their own. But the commonality is that we feel that we're a file number, most of us, and we're forgotten about the real world. And so, for me, it looked like, because I committed a crime, I didn't exist anymore. So, coming back out and meeting these people who are, real, authentic, and cared about me, not about what I'd done, what anything else, which was awesome. They've shown me that there are people who are caring, loving, however you want to put it, but they have your best interest in heart. Yeah. They're not there to gain something in return. They give freely, which is awesome.
And you haven't really shared it yet, but you're giving back as well. Like, you've been volunteering at Hidden Treasures, and now you're also a NOLA volunteer. I know that because as a NOLA case manager, you've been a volunteer in one of my circles. So of the 3 volunteers, you're one of them that's supporting someone that's recently released from prison. And it's so awesome to see you, because I see how you impact. I can see myself how you impact someone recently released in prison, but maybe give everybody else the perspective of why you would want to be involved as a volunteer with NOLA.
It really truly has to do with the whole experience.
Yeah.
Understanding that, my situation, that how, for myself, I felt bad and felt there was nothing to look forward to, nothing. And I seen that with my own eyes, with other gentlemen and with my own self. But to realize that, many of us incarcerated men and women, we made a mistake. That's all it was. Yeah. And they need a second chance. Everyone deserves a second chance. Let's get real. For me, it was just to realize that, if I could help bridge a gap as well as give back, and it's in my nature to give back, and this is the best way I could for now. And I took the opportunity, and it was also to help someone feel comfortable coming out and realizing that for themselves that it's a risk, and I agree, and it's a big leap and a big step coming back out, but with the right people around you and all that, it can go a lot easier for you, and it can be a lot more supportive and a lot more unstressful for the resident coming out or the inmate coming out. So it's great.
So there's this quote that we've been throwing around throughout the fundraiser from Brene Brown. The truth is that falling hurts. The dare is to keep being brave and feel your way back up. What does this quote mean to you?
Well, to me personally, it relates immensely. I definitely fell from grace, or whatever you want to call it, but from society. It definitely was, I don't know, devastating, if you want to say, for the whole experience, for how everything went down, but even for myself, just the experience and that. But to realize that, this does not define me, it will not define me. People in the organization, plus other people you've introduced me to, have gotten to know me and know me for who I am. And I'm grateful for that, but it also helped me realize that, no matter how far you fall or where you fall from, you can get back up. And to use another quote, dust yourself off and take another step. And you guys are a very big asset to that, because you support that way, and you encourage and you help in any best way moving forward, which is awesome.
Well, Andre, you are valued, you are appreciated for who you are, but also for the service that you give in M2W2. You've been involved in all three of our main ministries, the prison mentorship, the NOLA, and the Hidden Treasures. We appreciate that as an organization, but we appreciate you as a person as well, and the journey that you've been on. So thank you for sharing and taking the time to let others have a glimpse into your life as well.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. And I'm very excited to introduce our next presenter, a W-2 volunteer, been volunteering at the Fraser Valley Institution since May of 2019. Please welcome Heidi.
Thank you. It's great to be here. If I had to choose one word that could describe my experience volunteering with M2W2, I would choose the word discovery. Everything that's unfolded since this journey began for me back in 2019 has been like a gift of discovery. Discovering deeper revelation about God, discovering more dimensions about what it means to walk out life in the Spirit, but also, incredibly, discovering just who my match is and how she's seen by the Father. Honestly, I didn't plan on actually joining M2W2 originally. I did the training session in support of a close girlfriend who felt specifically called to this ministry. Unfortunately, she was unable to continue to volunteer due to a scheduling conflict, so I thought, oh, that's such a shame. But pretty quickly after, it was a swift voice of the Lord in prayer saying to me, Heidi, I have something in mind for you here too. The conviction became so strong, I didn't doubt God had plans. I could feel it in my bones. I remember the first time that I went in, I was actually pretty nervous. I don't know if you've experienced that feeling. It's like the arms of God are reaching down and stretching your being further than you've reached before. So I had this feeling of physical discomfort, but at the same time, I had a divine confidence. Whatever God had planned here was going to be worth the cost of my discomfort. I had to trust he knew exactly what he was doing, which of course he always does. And I needed to offer myself without knowing what it was going to look like. I had to trust that he was beginning a new thing and I could just walk into it with him. I find, we like to start things that have a really clear finish line in sight. Every race I've ever watched has had a clear beginning and a clear ending. But beginning this volunteer journey was different. It meant trusting God with the beginning and having no idea of the distance or the length ahead of me. So when I drove into the parking lot that first night at FVI, I remember turning and taking my keys out of the ignition, parking the car, and it was like my spirit spoke to my body and said, "You are going in there with me." From the very first night that I met with this special match of mine, my hands have been totally empty. And I don't just mean I had to check in my purse and my keys at the door like we always do. What I mean is I approached this relationship without any preconceived agenda. I thought, I'm not going in there to fix. I'm not going in to teach, to instruct, to preach at. I'm going to discover just what God had in mind here. My only preparation for that then could be prayer, just soaking in the presence of God. I knew in order to see her this way, I needed to see her this way first. I've discovered that this special connection between her and I really comes from that place. It comes from the place of communing with God. I could have been fearful. We're not going to connect at all. We're not going to have anything in common. Honestly, the thought absolutely crossed my mind. But when we commune with God, we are actually communing with love himself. And love and fear are incompatible. One has to go. Building a relationship with my match has meant allowing that secret place of communion to spill over and create a new connection with her. That also means that her past can't dictate her potential. The story of what brought her here isn't going to dictate the story of where she's going next. See, I think that we all need to do that. We all need to cast our vision far beyond what we see here and now to see what a holy potential holds. The world tends to just look at people for where they've been or who they've been, but I don't see that in the cross. When Jesus hung there, he broke the bondage of sin. He broke the bondage of the fall all the way back to the garden, back to restoration. Honestly, I want to see that. I want to see what he sees. I want my ear to be open to when he's speaking, expressing a holy love that I know says, you will never be too far gone for me. The blood of Jesus is always speaking better things. It's always declaring who we are as a finished product of his sacrifice and resurrection. I heard it said once, never underestimate the inclusivity of Christ. And I don't think that just means that there's many rooms in the Father's house, which there are. My discovery with this inclusivity has also been that I too am included in my desperate need for Jesus. I have my own falling short, my own missing the mark, and I think I've realized here that my sin is no cleaner or tidier than anyone else's. Recognizing this shared need for Jesus opens the door for a deep and raw humility in my friendship with my match. Her and I have established a bond that it is honestly a privilege to participate in because it births transformation in each of us. You know, we're pondering this theme of falling and getting back up tonight, and we've all fallen in life, and it's not my story to share of my match's experience on her own, but what I can share is that I have had some low lows, and what I remember about my last lowest point was I physically walked outside. It was summertime, it was warm, and I laid in the dirt. I just got down on the ground and curled up, and I cried out in prayer in this low point. And what I experienced was the form of my God getting under me. It's like I thought I couldn't go any lower, and Jesus curled up under me and allowed me to press in to his form, press in to his abundance and his healing. I found that when we fall low, maybe it's like we need to reach the end of ourselves to find the beginning of God. And the crazy and wild thing is he has no ending. Honestly, that's what I want to carry when I meet with my match, that unending presence of God. I find that our conversations are so rich. It's like coming to the table when I come to her. There's room for both of us, and we get to share in one another's portion. Now, as I wrap up, I just want to share something spectacular that happened in her life. She was recently released after over 2 decades inside prison. I've been keeping this journal since the beginning of our friendship. The weird thing is, my journal came to an end the day she was released. Like, I actually ran out of pages. And I thought, God, your timing is so cool. But you know what? I'm starting a new journal now because he is doing a fresh, new thing in her life. She is beginning to walk with Jesus. So it's not just a new freedom in the natural, it's a new freedom in the spiritual. She's experiencing victory even though she's had a road of difficulty. I think she sees herself being written into God's story. And that's for all of us. Yeah, we know Jesus has the victory. We know that he knows the ending. He's already settled it. But it's not over yet. Can we each see ourselves being written and woven into his story today? And can we also know that there is so much room at his table? I'm so thankful for M2W2 ministry because it has allowed me to experience this incredible life-giving friendship. There's so much fruit that has come from it already, and I'm actually quite thrilled to continue to walk with her and see where she goes from here. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thanks for letting me share my story.
Thank you, Heidi. That was really inspiring, really encouraging. I love what she said when she said she didn't go into this relationship with preconceived notions, not to preach, not to fix, rather to discover. And I don't know, I think that's just a really beautiful idea, the way we have to hold things open-handed. But now what we get to do, we get to listen to another story. We get to hear a story, an interview, to give us an inside perspective from a retired prison warden. Please, this is Nancy Wrenshall.
Hi, my name's Nancy Wrenshall, and I worked in corrections for 30 years. There's a lot of people who end up in prison who don't have either local community support or any community support. So it's important that they maintain ties to the community. So for the men, if they don't have people locally or they don't have good community support, and many of them don't, M2 provides that in-reach program for them. You find with women, if you look at Visitors Day or visiting hours, there's long lineups at the men's prisons for the women coming in to see their guys. And if you look at the women's prisons, there's not a long lineup. So it's even more important that they have ties and visits coming in. And W2 certainly provides that. Relationships are super important to women, and W2 provides those relationships, those ties. It's somebody that they feel safe talking to, that they can bond with, and in many, many, many of those cases, those relationships and those bonds stay with the women even long after they leave the prisons. I think one of the biggest things I see in terms of what M2W2 brings in is that safety. That person to talk to that's not a correctional officer, or there's not that power imbalance there. There's more of a level of trust. I've seen people who have that good, solid relationship with their M2W2. There's more confidence. You can, and especially if they work well with their case management team, the M2 sponsor, the W2 sponsor, There's more of a team effort, and a lot of the times with the prisoner, there's a greater commitment to the program plan that they're working on and the programs that they're involved in. I think one of the most memorable experiences I had and it was with M2, an M2 sponsor, was a fellow I had on my caseload. He was from India. He was serving a life sentence, and he was due to be deported on his full parole date when he gained full parole. And his M2 sponsor and the M2 sponsor's family had been missionaries in India. This fellow had escorted temporary absences, so I took him out, and we went to his M2 sponsor's home. I think it was once a month, and they put on a traditional Indian dinner for him. Now, I'd never eaten Indian food. I'm not very good with spicy foods. He was always very, very excited when we got to go for dinner, and I got to learn how to eat spicy foods. So, for example, if the dish was very hot, they would warn me. And I learned things like, if it's a spicy food, eat yogurt with it. Don't drink water, because that just makes it hotter. And he was always so excited. And it really made a big difference in how he handled his time. It really helped him in terms of coping with serving the life sentence and staying positive. There's lots and lots of research that shows how important community support is in the reintegration of prisoners. It's one of the reasons that it's so important that families are involved. But in the cases where people don't have either good family support or no family support, that's key for M2W2 to step in and provide some of that support. So, for example, if you've got women who in many cases come from northern BC or out of province in some cases, it's a really valuable service that W2 provides by visiting them and providing that community support while they're here in the Lower Mainland. And the same thing applies if you've got a male offender from Prince George or Fort St. James who's down here in the Lower Mainland serving his sentence. So it's key that they have some form of community support while they're here doing their time. I think the biggest thing I want to say to the M2W2 volunteers is thank you. You provide a valuable service, and please keep doing it. You know, as I say, it's something that's really important. I don't think you get thanked enough. I hope the people you work with say thank you. I know the women certainly do. I was telling Eric about a volunteer banquet we had at Burnaby Correctional Center for Women, and the women wrote poems to their W2 sponsors. I still have a copy of that somewhere at home because they were very touching. So thank you, and please keep coming.
And so now we have the privilege of hearing from a W2 mentee and her friend, her friend Eva. Sorry, thank you. Eva has the privilege of transporting our guest here today from the prison all the way to Hidden Treasures to volunteer. And Eva herself is also a volunteer at Hidden Treasures. So please enjoy this story from our W2 mentee. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eva, and I've been with W2 for approximately 15 years. And I've had the honor and the privilege of meeting Shay. So Shay, want to tell us a little bit about where you're from?
I'm from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, from Montreal Lake Band First Nations.
How about family?
My family, I don't have much of a family. I grew up in foster care, bouncing around from my biological mom to my foster mom, and ending up in residential school.
What was that like for you at residential school?
Residential school was I was in grade 4, grade 5 when I was in residential school for a couple of years. And during that time, I used to say I ran away 3 times. The third time they didn't catch me. But now that I'm older, I realized that I had escaped with my life at residential school. And when I ran away those times, one of the times I specifically remember, It was winter time, and we had gone into the bush and built a little thing by the pine trees because we were only in grade 4 or 5, and we cuddled in there. It was just outside of PA, and we started a fire, and we were cold, and our socks were wet. And so we tried to dry our socks on the fire, and they burnt and had holes in them. But we hitchhiked to L'Orange and hitchhiked to Saskatoon. I left with 3 of my friends.
And you were, what, about 10 or 11 years old, right?
Yes. And the third time I ran away or escaped by myself. They didn't catch me that time, but it led to a life of crime at a young age, theft, fraud, leading to prostitution, drugs, addiction, gang lifestyle, and violence. I have 62 convictions in provincial and remand centers.
And what brought you to your arrest?
My arrest was the crime life that I was living. The violence just got worse, and I ended up incarcerated for 11 and a half years. And when I ended up in jail, I was broken and at my rock bottom. And I was 96 pounds, dehydrated, and in healthcare, coming off drugs.
You had a rough go. And then you spent some time in Edmonton in the federal prison. And then where did you go after 7 years?
I transferred to Fraser Valley Institution because there's more resources and more ETA accessibility versus Edmonton Institution. And when I got there in 2017, I applied for a mentor or the M2W program where I met you. And Luminita was great in hooking that up and coming into the institution and guiding us to volunteers that help us reintegrate when we do get out. Yeah, she was a great help.
Where did your ETAs take you?
My ETAs, they took me to Hidden Treasures, where I volunteered during the day, 2 times a week, and then I would go to Celebrate Recovery and Northview Church and Prison Ministry. All those ETAs together really, I established the support I needed. But at the beginning, it wasn't that easy from being inside for so long and socializing and learning to trust at Hidden Treasures and learning how to be a community. COVID had hit and I'd gotten released. It was worse than being in jail because you've been granted something that you've worked so hard for, but yet you had all these restrictions and couldn't do much. And with the challenges of not knowing technology and phones and stuff, things have changed over the years. And trying to learn that and get my IDs and get an account and get healthcare and stuff like that was very challenging because there was no in-person stuff during COVID at the beginning. Yeah. And then an incident had happened where some things were found in my room. And as discouraging, as hard as it is, because many of us face those challenges, it wasn't mine. They gave me the opportunity, or they gave me the choice to take accountability, and I could stay there and they would work with me or not, and I would have to leave. And it wasn't mine because I'd been clean and sober for many years. So I had to leave. And when I left, I was leaving all my supports that I built in the institution, at all the ETAs that I'd gone to, and I was placed in Surrey, where it was out of my jurisdiction, where I couldn't even come back to visit. So I was very alone there. But he came to visit me and support me, and that I'm grateful
But
for
you
that.
struggled.
Yes.
You really struggled.
I really struggled with loneliness and flashbacks from residential school and foster care, moving around and not being wanted and having to just adjust, right?
Then you got.
And then after a few months there, I got work, my first job ever. I was 40-some years old, and my first job was for Atira Property Management. I wasn't a property manager, I was a front desk clerk at downtown Vancouver East Side, right down on Main in Georgia. And I worked there for 6 months. Graveyard shift and transported back from Surrey to Vancouver. And that experience was where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in the helping field, with helping with addictions and helping with homeless, because I come from that. And I was able to do that. It came with a lot of challenges though, because there's drugs all around you and there's things going on, but I had choices to make, and just like in prison, I made the right choices. It was a lonely road, but I stayed out of trouble. I stayed away from people that were involved with stuff, and when I got this job, I just applied it again, and I did really well. And my manager offered me other positions and stuff, but I moved on because I'd gotten married.
You met the love of your life.
Yes, yes.
And
And
where are you now?
now I'm in the Okanagan, and I've moved 3 times. I've only been out for a year and a half, a year and 18 months, and moved 3 times, which is very challenging and stuff, but through God's grace every step of the way. When I knew I couldn't do it for myself, I got strength from Him to do what needed to be done. One foot in front of the other.
And you've done a lot of
Yeah,
soul searching, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And now, where are you going?
And now, I'm just, I'm working with my husband in our business, Big Bear Landscaping, and it's a great opportunity. I love it. We're homeowners now, and it was really great having the M2W2 volunteers come into the institution, give me hope and dreams and inspiration that I could have a future. That's what Hidden Treasures gave to me, that experience there, because I didn't have much of that inside. When I first ended up inside, I really, really thought that I would end up picking up another sentence because of my old lifestyle. And
Those were awful
God's
thoughts,
guided
weren't they?
me, yeah.
You persevered. I've seen a huge change in you, and it's been awesome to get to know her.
And so now we're going to invite the executive director of M2W2 to tell you more about how you can be part of this walking alongside. So please put your hands together for Raymond and Robyn. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for participating with us on this occasion. I want to thank my friends who came to share a little bit of their story and about their life and the journey that they've experienced. At M2W2 right now, we are going through not just changes, but we are preparing us for the next 50 years. For the past 55 years, we've been really doing amazing things, and I want to thank every donor for your commitment to give towards the ministry of M2W2. So at the beginning of the year, we started a journey which we call our strategic plan. And one of the areas that we just want to share with you that we're really excited about as we engage with donors, with partners, with friends, and with volunteers regarding what is our purpose. And I thought I just wanted to share that with you to reconfirm to you that our purpose is to answer God's call in Matthew 25:35-36. And you and I know that call. I was in prison and you visited me. And I want to say thank God that this is the reason, and this is the reason why we're doing what we're doing here at M2W2, to respond to the call of God. I was in prison, and you visited me. We ended off our purpose by saying, and build trust-filled relationships that bring value, restoration, and hope to every person. What is our vision of M2W2? Is to end imprisonment one person at a time. What it simply means is that we are committed to journey with those who are incarcerated, but also we want to make sure that they transition into the community in a very successful and community and in loving way. Tonight you've heard of Ava, of Heidi, of their involvement with those that have transitioned out of prison into the community. And I'm so thankful for our incredible programs, for the program of Hidden Treasures. Thank God for what the work is doing through Hidden Treasures, because during this time of the pandemic, we really felt like, man, we feel like as if we were knocked down. But I want to say to you, this theme tonight is this is the way back up. And the way back up is not in our own strength, but it's through the strength of our Lord Jesus Christ. And so through our stores, we are waiting and really are preparing for the day where we can have some of our men as well as the women coming back into our stores to come and work through our work release program. Right now, currently, the prisons are starting to open up. And I know that in Pacific, October 18th, very soon, 5 volunteers will be able to go and start their visiting journey with prisoners. So excited also to know that Elder Pascal has been able to go into Kent. He's also been able to go into Kui. So very soon. And I want to say thank you to our volunteers for faithfully responding to the call to write to their matters, to have video conferencing. So we have not stopped working or responding to the call of those in prison. And then, of course, our NOLA program. This is so exciting. And I want to say thank you to our staff and the NOLA staff for the incredible work and the volunteers for coming alongside those that are in the community. My dear friends, these are the 3 programs. And of course, we sense in our heart with great anticipation, God is going to lead us into different things, into the future. But at the heart of our work and our ministry is that we are responding to those that are in prison. So as you give tonight, and I really want to encourage you to give generously, to join with others. I'm also glad to announce tonight that a group of donors have come together and they've collectively put their money together to the value of $26,000 that they want to provide as a matching grant for your giving tonight. What it simply means is for every dollar that you give tonight, they will match it from that up to $26,000. So I just want to say thank you to our generous friends to say, let's do this together. Let's help M2W to way back up, to move forward, and especially to expand our stores, to become more creative in our sales, our online sales. But more than that, to prepare to return to prison, to visit those in prison. So my friends, I want to end off by saying thank you for giving tonight. Can you imagine if every one of us are just committing to give something tonight, it will be matched by somebody. And I want to say to you, that excites me because I know I'm not giving alone. We are giving together. And that is the strength of M2W2 for the past 55 years. Together, we can do it. I'm going to try to end up with this African proverb, seeing to that I'm from Africa. If you want to go fast, go alone. Really, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you really want to make an impact, go together. In my culture, the word Ubuntu is extremely important for us. I am because we are. When we're thinking of those that are in prison, when we're thinking of those that are really struggling to find their feet, to get back into society, I am because we are. And I want to leave that with you tonight. Remember this. God loves us. By grace we've been saved. And because we have received so much from God, we can give back so that others also can find their way back up. Thank you so much again for your commitment and standing with M2W2. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raymond, Robyn, the executive director. There really is nothing left to be said other than thank you. Thank you for bearing with our challenges tonight. You're patient, and that's exactly what we're doing here. We're doing this together. Thank you for engaging, for listening, for giving. And if you want to keep giving, m2w2.com. Everything you need to know about what's happening at M2W2, m2w2.com. Have a great night. Thank you so much.